The train station had been abandoned for decades, its broken windows like black eyes staring into the foggy night. Officer Ryan Carter tightened his jacket against the cold wind, his breath fogging as he glanced down at K9 Rex. The German Shepherd's ears twitched, his tail stiff, and then he stopped abruptly at the edge of the platform, nose to the ground. Something in the shadows made him growl low, a warning that sent a shiver down Ryan's spine. Whatever was hiding here wasn't human, or at least not entirely. And for the first time, Ryan realized this town held secrets far darker than anyone imagined. The fog clung to Hartley Junction like a damp, suffocating blanket. Streetlights flickered weakly, their amber glow swallowed by the mist. Officer Ryan Carter's boots crunched against gravel as he approached the abandoned train station, a place whispered about but avoided by locals for decades. K9 Rex padded silently beside him, a low growl rumbling from his chest every few steps. The station loomed ahead, its skeletal frame sagging with age, broken windows gaping like toothless jaws. Rusted tracks snaked into the distance, swallowed by weeds and shadow. Ryan checked his watch. Nearly midnight. The call had been anonymous, urgent, a tip about suspicious activity near the station. The voice had trembled with fear, promising something the town wasn't ready to hear. He'd felt a pang of unease, the kind that crawled under the skin, but the duty-bound part of him wouldn't let him ignore it. "Easy, Rex," Ryan whispered, kneeling to stroke the dog's head. Rex's amber eyes glimmered in the dim light, fixated on the station. He had stopped suddenly at the platform edge, nose to the ground, ears erect. The smell wasn't ordinary. Something metallic, earthy, and faintly sweet lingered in the cold night air. Ryan's heartbeat accelerated. He had been on countless investigations, but instinct told him this was different. The scent wasn't just unusual, it was deliberate. Someone had left a trail, and Rex had found it. The wooden platform creaked under Ryan's weight as he stepped forward. Inside, the station smelled of rot and decay, mixed with something sharper, almost like burnt rubber. Shadows stretched along the walls, cast by a lone swinging light that flickered sporadically. Dust motes drifted lazily in the beam, disturbed by the cold draft that whispered through broken gaps. A sudden clatter made Rex's hackles rise. His growl deepened, echoing off the walls. Ryan froze, hand instinctively reaching for his flashlight. He swept the beam toward the sound. A stack of old crates had toppled in the corner, revealing a narrow stairwell leading downward. It would groan under unseen weight. "Who's there?" Ryan called, voice steady but tense. Silence answered. Only Rex's low growl punctuated the emptiness. Ryan took a deep breath and followed Rex down the stairwell. The air grew colder, damp and heavy with mildew. The narrow corridor smelled of iron and something else, something clinging to the walls like a dark promise. Faint scratches marked the floorboards, as if something had dragged itself along them. "Stay close, Rex," Ryan whispered. The dog obeyed, ears pricked, moving with silent precision. At the bottom, they entered a room that had once been a storage cellar. The walls were lined with rusted lockers, their doors hanging crooked on broken hinges. In the center of the room lay a pile of old newspapers, yellowed and brittle. As Ryan stepped closer, he noticed a photograph half buried under the papers. He picked it up carefully. It was a picture of a little girl, no older than 7. She had dark hair, large, solemn eyes, and a small smile that seemed almost forced. Written in faded ink at the bottom were the words, "Gone to Hartley Junction, April '83. A chill ran down Ryan's spine. Stories of missing children had haunted the town for decades. Cases had gone cold and forgotten, whispered about only in fearful tones. This photograph, it felt like a warning. Rex barked suddenly, sharp and tense, snapping Ryan out his thoughts. The dog's gaze was fixed on the far corner of the cellar, where darkness pooled like a living thing. Ryan shone his flashlight toward it, and the beam caught something that made him swallow hard. A shadow moved. It was quick, too quick to be human, darting from one corner to another. Ryan's pulse surged. "Show yourself," he demanded. The shadow paused, and then nothing, only the faint echo of something dragging across the floor. Ryan crouched, heart hammering. He could feel the tension radiating from Rex. The dog's muscles coiled like springs ready to snap. The air seemed to thicken, heavy with anticipation, with secrets waiting to be discovered. Then Ryan noticed a series of markings etched into the wall. Symbols that didn't make sense at first. Circles intertwined with jagged lines, almost like some cryptic map. His gut told him they were more than graffiti. Someone or something had left clues deliberate and chilling. He traced a line of symbols with his finger, and the metal edge of the locker scraped beneath his touch, echoing in the silence. A small scrap of paper fluttered from inside, landing at his feet, written hastily with the words, "Rex sees. He knows. Beware the watchers." Rex growled again, moving toward the stairwell, ears forward, tail stiff. Ryan followed reluctantly, his mind racing. The message was clear. The dog had found something dangerous, something the town had buried long ago. They ascended the stairs cautiously, each step echoing in the emptiness. At the top, the platform seemed even more desolate under moonlight. The mist had thickened, curling around the abandoned train cars like smoke. A faint whistle of wind carried a scent, faintly metallic, oddly sweet, the same scent Rex had tracked below. Suddenly, movement caught Ryan's eye. A figure crouched behind one of the train cars, watching. Ryan froze. The figure shifted, just enough for him to see a glint of steel in a hand. A knife, freshly sharpened. Rex barked, low and warning, muscles taut. The figure bolted, disappearing into the fog. Ryan cursed under his breath and gave chase, sprinting across the platform. The mist seemed almost alive, swallowing the sound of his boots, hiding the figure in ghostly layers of white. By the time Ryan reached the edge of the station, the figure had vanished. Only the faintest footprints remained, muddied in the gravel. Ryan's heart raced, and he bent down, inspecting them closely. The tracks weren't just human. They were staggered, uneven, like someone or something was limping, favoring one side. A sudden realization struck him. This wasn't random. It was orchestrated. And Rex had been led here for a reason. The night air pressed down on him, heavy with fear and anticipation. He glanced back at the station, the empty windows staring like dark eyes, and felt the weight of the town's history pressing in. Hartley Junction had secrets. Dark, rotten secrets that refused to stay buried. And now, for the first time, Ryan understood that whatever lurked in the shadows, it had chosen him to uncover them. He straightened, voice low, almost to himself. "We're not leaving until we find out what's hiding here, Rex." The dog's ears twitched in agreement, and together they vanished into the mist, toward the hidden truths that had haunted the town for decades. The fog never lifted. Hartley Junction seemed suspended in a perpetual gray, as if the town itself was holding its breath. Ryan and Rex moved cautiously along the rusted tracks, the metal groaning under the weight of history and neglect. Each step echoed through the empty night, a rhythm punctuated by the occasional distant call of an owl or the rustle of unseen animals. Ryan's mind raced. The photograph in the cellar, the cryptic message, the limping figure. Each fragment was a puzzle, but the pieces didn't fit neatly. Hartley Junction had always been a town of whispers, its residents polite yet distant, each neighbor carefully guarding their own version of truth. And now, with Rex leading him through the mist, Ryan felt as if the town itself was watching, waiting to see if he would survive long enough to uncover its secrets. They reached the edge of the station platform, where the tracks bent sharply into the dense trees that bordered the town. Rex paused, nose twitching violently. The scent was stronger here, metallic, sweet, and unmistakably human, but there was something else mingled with it. Decay, old and pervasive, like it had been festering for years. Ryan crouched to inspect the ground. Footprints, not just human, but staggered, uneven, just as he had seen before. They disappeared into the brush, swallowed by roots and leaves, yet the subtle indentations in the mud betrayed the passage of someone or something, deliberately leaving a trail. "Rex," Ryan murmured, "stay sharp." The dog's growl was low, a rumble in his chest that Ryan felt as much as he heard. Then, suddenly, Rex bolted into the trees, barking sharply. Ryan sprinted after him, adrenaline surging. The branches tore his jacket, snagged his hair, but he didn't care. Whatever Rex had found, it was the next piece of the puzzle. He emerged into a small clearing, and his heart skipped. There, half buried beneath tangled roots and moss, was the skeletal remains of a wooden cart. Beside it lay a torn piece of fabric, faded and frayed. Ryan knelt, brushing away dirt. The cloth was delicate, child-sized. His stomach churned. The same sense of dread that had gripped him in the station returned with full force. This was no ordinary crime scene. It was history, violence, and neglect intertwined. He remembered the whispers, the missing children, the unexplained disappearances spanning decades, and realized with a sinking feeling that he was standing on the epicenter of the town's darkest secret. "Rex," Ryan said softly. "Good boy, but what did you see?" The dog's ears twitched, and he pawed at the ground, nose buried in the dirt. Then, unexpectedly, he barked and bolted again, deeper into the trees. Ryan cursed but ran after him, twisting through the underbrush, feeling his pulse drum in his ears. Suddenly, Rex stopped at the base of a massive, gnarled oak. Beneath its twisted roots was a shallow hole recently disturbed. The metallic scent was strongest here. Ryan's stomach sank as he knelt beside it. He dug carefully, uncovering a small tin box, rusted but intact. He pried it open. Inside were more photographs. Children, dozens of them, some smiling, some terrified. Alongside the photos were scraps of paper, each bearing a name and a date, going back nearly 40 years. And then, pressed at the very bottom, a single, folded note. The watchers never forget. They see what others cannot. Ryan's breath caught. The words were familiar. They matched the warning from the cellar. Someone had been keeping records, documenting children, tracing a pattern. His mind reeled. Who had done this? And why now, after all these years, was a trail leading directly to him? A rustle in the trees made him spin. Shadows shifted, elongated by the pale moonlight. And then he saw her, a figure, half hidden, watching from the tree line. A woman, mid-30s, her expression unreadable. Her eyes were sharp, calculating, but there was pain there, too. "Who are you?" Ryan demanded, voice steady despite the quiver in his chest. The woman stepped forward slowly. "You shouldn't be here," she said, voice low and measured. "This town, it's not what you think. You're chasing ghosts that belong to someone else." "Someone else." Ryan echoed. "I found the photographs. The messages. The children." She raised a hand. I know what Rex found. But it's more than just photographs. You don't understand the forces at play. Some of us have been protecting the town from things that can't be named." Ryan narrowed his eyes. Protecting it? From what? Her gaze flicked toward the old train station, then back at him. "From the watchers," she said quietly. "They never sleep, and they don't forgive." Before he could respond, a sharp noise echoed from deep in the forest, a scream, hollow and distorted, followed by silence. Rex barked violently, hackles raised. The woman's face tightened. "You should leave now," she warned, "before it finds you." Ryan's instincts rebelled. He had come too far to turn back. "Not until I know the truth," he said, gripping the photograph in his pocket. "Who are the watchers? Why these children? And why now?" The woman hesitated, as if torn between revealing everything and keeping him in the dark. Finally, she spoke, her voice trembling slightly. "Because the town made a pact. A secret pact, generations old. Children, they were never meant to disappear. They were meant to feed the watchers. And someone has broken the rules." Ryan felt his stomach twist. "Feed the watchers?" "Yes," she whispered, eyes wide with fear. "They are not human. They are not dead. They are eternal. And they demand sacrifices. The town has been keeping them satisfied for decades. Until now." The words seemed impossible. A hallucination, a story told to frighten children. But the weight of the evidence, the photographs, the cryptic messages, the shadows, Rex's behavior was undeniable. A movement caught his eye, a shape slithering through the trees, silent, impossibly fast. Rex growled, low in warning, lunging forward. Ryan tried to restrain him, but the dog was relentless. The figure paused, then vanished again into the fog. The woman grabbed Ryan's arm. "Listen to me." You cannot fight them alone. The Watchers, they see everything. They are patient, cunning, and they remember. If you go deeper into this, you may never return. Ryan's hand shook. He had a duty, a moral obligation to uncover the truth. But the fear was visceral now, coursing through his veins like ice. "Then help me," he said. "Help me stop this." For a long moment, she studied him, searching for hesitation. Finally, she nodded, almost imperceptibly. "I am not who I seem, and neither is anyone else you trust in this town. Be careful whom you follow, Ryan. Betrayal is everywhere. And the Watchers, they never forget." The fog thickened around them, curling into unnatural shapes. The forest seemed alive, watching, breathing. Ryan's pulse thundered in his ears. He realized with a sinking certainty that the danger wasn't just in the station or in the shadows. It was everywhere. The town itself had become a trap, a living entity guarding its own dark secrets. And now, having glimpsed the truth, he was part of it. The night had deepened into a black, so thick it felt almost solid, pressing in from all sides. Ryan's boots sank into the muddy forest floor, each step echoing the relentless rhythm of his racing heart. Rex padded beside him, muscles taut, ears pricked. The woman, introducing herself now as Eliza, moved silently, her eyes scanning the fog with the precision of someone who had known these woods for decades. They reached a clearing where the remnants of an old railway carriage lay half buried in vines and moss. The metallic scent Ryan had been tracking all night was overpowering here, mingling with the bitter tang of decay. Rex stopped abruptly at the edge, growling low, lips curling over sharp teeth. The dog's reaction sent a cold shiver down Ryan's spine. "This is it," Eliza said softly, almost reverently. "This is where it began and where it continues. The Watchers are bound here." Ryan's gaze followed hers. The carriage was riddled with claw marks, though it splintered as if something had forced its way in and out repeatedly. The ground around it was littered with fragmented toys, children's shoes, tattered clothing, items decades old, yet somehow preserved in the damp cold. He swallowed hard, nausea twisting his stomach. "They've taken children," he said, voice barely audible, "for generations." "Why? What are they?" Eliza's expression darkened. "Not what, but who. They are remnants of something older than this town, older than anyone can remember. They are not dead, not alive as we know it. They exist because the town allowed it. Generations of silence, of fear, of blind obedience. They fed the Watchers so that the rest could survive." Ryan's mind reeled. It was unthinkable, monstrous, yet all the clues, the photographs, the cryptic messages, the shadows, were pointing to the same horrifying truth. A sudden movement drew their attention. From the mist, figures emerged, tall, gaunt, features barely human. Their eyes reflected a pale, unnatural light. They moved silently, gliding over the ground rather than walking. Ryan's stomach dropped. The Watchers... Rex lunged, barking furiously, but the Watchers didn't flinch. One stepped forward, an impossibly long arm stretching toward Ryan. A voice echoed in his head, unspoken yet undeniable. "You should not have come." Eliza grabbed his arm. "Run," she hissed. "Follow me, but don't look back." They sprinted through the trees, the Watchers gliding behind them effortlessly, shadows stretching unnaturally to keep pace. Ryan's lungs burned, adrenaline pumping. Branches tore at his jacket, mud soaked through his clothes. But he kept running, guided only by the flicker of moonlight through fog and the unwavering presence of Rex. Suddenly, Eliza stopped. She pointed to a hollow in a tree, wide enough for the three of them to hide. They slipped inside, hearts hammering, ears straining. The Watchers passed by, their pale, reflective eyes scanning, yet somehow missing them entirely. For a moment, Ryan allowed himself to breathe. What do we do?" he whispered, voice trembling. Eliza's face was grave. "We expose them. If the town continues to cover this up, they will never stop. But you must understand, they will come for you if they know you know. They remember betrayal." Ryan's gaze dropped to Rex, who pressed his nose against Ryan's hand, alert and tense. The dog had sensed the Watchers before anyone else. His instincts had been correct all along. Eliza handed him a folder yellow with age. Inside were documents, letters, and photographs that detail the towns packed with the Watchers. Names, dates, incidents, all meticulously recorded. Ryan's eyes widened as he realized the scale of what he now held. "They've been feeding for decades," Eliza said softly, almost mournfully. "And someone has disrupted the balance. That's why you were brought here. Ryan, Rex led you. He always senses a shift." Ryan swallowed hard. The weight of responsibility pressed down on him. He had discovered the truth. But at what cost? The Watchers were real, the town complicit, and now he carried a target on his back. A sudden sound shattered the brief moment of calm. A scream, closer this time, from deeper in the forest. Rex growled, low and warning, tail stiff. The Watchers had found another victim. Ryan's chest tightened with anger and fear. "We have to move," Eliza whispered. "Now!" They sprinted once more, taking a narrow path through the woods that Ryan hadn't noticed before. The Watchers pursued relentlessly, shadows stretching unnaturally around them. Ryan's mind raced, searching for a solution, a way to outsmart beings that didn't adhere to the laws of nature. And then he saw it. A ridge overlooking the forest, a place where the mist thinned and the moonlight fell unbroken. If they could reach it, the Watchers would hesitate. They never crossed into open space where light dominated. "Go!" Ryan shouted. They climbed, branches clawing at their skin, hearts pounding. Behind them, the Watchers hesitated at the tree line, their pale eyes glimmering with anticipation and frustration. When they reached the ridge, Ryan turned, gripping the folder tightly. He realized in that moment that the Watchers were patient, but not invincible. Exposure, light, truth, they feared it, and he would make them fear it. Eliza's face softened for the first time that night. "You're brave, Ryan, but bravery alone won't save you. You must be smart. You must be relentless." Ryan nodded, resolve hardening like steel in his chest. He looked down at Rex, amber eyes shining with loyalty and instinct, and felt a surge of hope. Together, they had survived the night, but the battle for the town's soul was just beginning. The Watchers retreated into the forest, their forms melting into the fog. Silence fell, broken only by the wind whispering through the trees. Ryan sank to his knees, exhaustion and relief washing over him. He had glimpsed the horror, had walked through darkness, and yet he was still alive. For a long time, he simply sat there, breathing, processing the enormity of what had happened. The town would never be the same, and neither would he. Finally, he looked up at Eliza. "We have to tell someone," he said quietly, voice heavy with emotion. "The town needs to know the truth." She nodded, her own eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Yes," she agreed, "but only those who are ready to face it. Otherwise, the Watchers will return." Ryan stood, gripping the folder. He glanced at Rex, who nudged his hand with his nose, reassuring. Together, they began the long walk back toward the town, fog curling around them like a protective shroud. The night had tested them, and the shadows had tried to claim them. But they had endured, and as the first hints of dawn began to bleed into the horizon, Ryan realized something profound. The true horror wasn't just in the Watchers or the town's dark past. It was in human silence and complicity. But courage, loyalty, and the bond between a man and his dog could pierce even the deepest darkness. They had survived. They had seen the truth. And Hartley Junction would never forget the night the K-9 stopped at the abandoned train station and everything that followed.